The screen is black. We hear the first, tentative chirps of dawn birds. The image fades in from black to reveal a vast, pre-dawn Serengeti savanna. The sky is a deep indigo, bleeding into soft orange at the horizon. The air is perfectly still, the grass silvered with dew. The camera moves slowly, almost breathlessly, over the landscape. Then, it finds her. A silhouette, low and sleek, perfectly still on a small rocky outcrop. She is a statue gazing into the dying night. Narrator voice is calm, measured, full of quiet reverence. Before the sun claims the sky, before the heat shimmers the air, she is already awake. Her world is defined by a silence so profound you can hear your own heartbeat. But hers is slower, steadier. She is a creature of thresholds, between night and day, between shadow and light, between life and death. She is a female cheetah, and this quiet moment is perhaps the only peace she will know today. Her solitude is not a choice, it is her reality. Unlike the lions with their roaring pride or the wild dogs with their chattering pack, she walks this earth alone. Her only constant companions are the weight of the sky and the press of the horizon. But if you look closer, you see the purpose in her stillness. Those famous black, tear marks, running from her eyes to her mouth are not signs of sorrow, they are nature's own glare reduction strips, sharpening her vision, funneling her focus, cutting through the morning haze to read the subtle movements of the grass a kilometer away. She is scanning, computing. Every flick of a distant ear, every shift of a grazing herd is a data point in the relentless calculation of survival. She is hungry, yes. But more than that, she is responsible. For in a hidden den, a scrape in the earth concealed by a thicket of thorny commiphora, her true motivation waits, blind, mewling, and utterly dependent. Her cubs. This is the central, exhausting truth of her existence. She is a single mother in the world's most demanding wilderness, and everything she does, every breath she takes, is for them. The sprint, the kill, the constant vigilance, it is all for the fragile lives hidden in the grass. Her motherhood is a silent, desperate race against time, scarcity, and an army of enemies who see her not as a rival, but as an opportunity. Scene 2. The hunt, anatomy of a sprint. Visual. Her head tilts, her ears swivel forward like radar dishes. Her focus has narrowed onto one thing. The camera follows her gaze to a herd of Thompson's gazelle grazing unsuspectingly about 300 meters away. She begins to move, not with a rush, but with an agonizing, liquid slowness. She melts from the rock, her belly fur brushing the dew from the grass. Extreme close-up on her paws as she places them with deliberate, silent care. Her claws, semi-retractable and blunt from constant contact with the ground, are already out, acting like the cleats on a sprinter's shoe. The muscles in her shoulders and haunches ripple under her spotted coat. The camera switches to a slow motion, ground-level shot as she stalks, her spine undulating with a terrifying grace. The music has faded to a near-silent, sustained drone with a faint, ticking percussion, a metronome counting down to explosion. Narrator. The hunt begins not with speed, but with its absolute opposite, perfect, paralyzing stealth. Every ounce of her evolution is geared towards one explosive minute, and she cannot afford to waste it. This stalk is a high-wire act of patience and precision. She must use every contour of the land, every patch of cover, to close the distance. Her golden, spotted coat is not just for beauty, in this tawny grass, she is a ghost. She becomes a part of the landscape itself. Her body is a masterpiece of bioengineering for this single purpose. Her lightweight skeleton, hollow bones, and slender frame are built for acceleration, not combat. Her liver, her adrenal glands, her heart and lungs are all disproportionately large, a physiological turbocharge waiting to be activated. Her tail is not just for balance, it is a rudder, a counterweight she will whip from side to side to make hairpin turns at unfathomable speeds. She is getting closer. 200 meters. 150. The gazelles are still grazing, but one young male on the edge of the herd seems distracted, head down. She has chosen her target. The calculus is complete. The air itself seems to crackle. She sinks even lower, her hind legs tucking beneath her, her weight shifting onto her powerful haunches. The ticking in the soundtrack gets faster. And then, it stops. There is a single, breathless second of pure silence. And she breaks. Visual. The chase erupts in stunning ultra-slow motion. Dust explodes from her launch point. Her legs extend to impossible lengths, her spine flexing so dramatically it seems it might snap. The camera struggles to keep her in frame as she becomes a streaking blur of ochre and black. The gazelle bolts in a panic, its path a desperate, zigzagging escape route. The cheetah matches every jink, her tail snapping left to correct her trajectory as she leans into a turn so tight it defies physics. We see the intense concentration on her face, her eyes locked on her prey, her mouth slightly open. The ground is a brown smear beneath her. The world narrows to this corridor of grass, this one animal, this single, defining purpose. The slow motion captures the sheer athletic violence of it, the flying clods of earth, the straining tendons, the billowing dust. The distance closes with terrifying inevitability. Just as the gazelle makes one final, frantic swerve, the cheetah lifts a front paw. Not to strike with claws, but to hook. She swings her arm like a polo player, catching the gazelle's hind leg. It's a tripping technique, a balance disruptor. The gazelle stumbles, its rhythm shattered. That's all she needs. Narrator. In that moment, she is no longer an animal, she is a force of nature. 0 to 70 kilometers per hour in under 3 seconds. The physics are brutal, each stride is over 7 meters long. For about 20 seconds, she is the fastest land organism on the planet. But this speed comes at a catastrophic cost. Her body temperature soars to near lethal levels. Her brain is literally cooking. Lactic acid floods her muscles, a searing poison of her own making. She is not fighting the gazelle, she is fighting her own biology, racing against the internal shutdown her supreme effort triggers. The trip is a calculated, energy-saving move. A kill with claws requires strength and time she does not have. This simple, sweeping hook is enough. As the gazelle falls, she is upon it, her jaws finding the throat in an instant, clamping down on the windpipe. It is not a mauling, it is a swift, efficient suffocation. The chase is over, but the danger has just begun. Scene 3. The vulnerability, a race against thieves. Visual. The cheetah stands over her kill, but she is not triumphant. She is in crisis. Her sides heave violently, her mouth wide open in a desperate, rasping pant, her tongue lolling. Steam seems to rise from her coat. She is physically shattered. For a full minute, she can do nothing but gasp for air, her head drooping. But her eyes are wide with panic, scanning the horizon feverishly. The camera pulls back to reveal how exposed she is. The kill has happened in the open. The commotion and the smell of blood are a billboard in the wilderness. A shadow passes over, a vulture, then another, circling high above. In the distance, on a termite mound, the silhouette of a spotted hyena appears, its head cocked curiously. The soundtrack is now her ragged, distressed panting, overlaid with the ominous whoop of the hyena. Narrator. This is her greatest paradox, her tragic flaw written in her very DNA. She is built to catch a meal, not to keep it. In this moment of supreme achievement, she is at her most vulnerable. Exhausted, overheated, and alone. The savanna is not a respectful arena, it is a marketplace of opportunists. And she is a shopkeeper with no door, no lock, and no security. Lions, leopards, hyenas, even large eagles, they will all take what she has paid for with her very life force. She cannot fight them. A hyena's jaw can crush bone, hers is built for a light, aerodynamic skull and a swift kill. A lion's swipe would break her spine. So, she must now run a second, more frantic race, the race to consume. She begins to eat with a frantic, almost desperate haste. She is not savoring, she is fueling. She goes for the nutrient-rich organs first, the liver, the heart, the lungs, leaving much of the muscle. Every few seconds, her head jerks up, eyes scanning, ears rotating. The vultures are lower now, a dark committee gathering in a nearby tree. The hyena has been joined by 2 others. They are watching, calculating the risk. They are waiting for her to weaken further, for her guard to drop. The tension is excruciating. She is not just eating, she is performing a high-stakes act of theft from the thieves themselves. Scene 4. The return, a mother's burden. Visual. Abruptly, she stops eating. There is still plenty of meat left. She gives one last, wary look at the approaching hyenas, now yipping and laughing as they slink closer. Then, she turns and trots away, leaving her hard-won prize. She doesn't look back. She moves with purpose, but with a noticeable weariness. The camera follows her for a long trek across the plains. She stops at a waterhole, drinks quickly with the same alert posture, then continues. After nearly an hour of walking, she arrives at a seemingly unremarkable thicket. She gives a soft, bird-like chirp, a sound utterly unlike anything we've heard from her. Immediately, the grass parts. 3 tiny, fuzzy heads pop up. They are cheetah cubs, about 3 months old, their fur a mess of smoky gray, perfect camouflage for the dappled shadows of their den. They tumble out, mewling and chirping, rushing to her face, nuzzling her jaws. She lowers her head, and they smell the blood and meat on her muzzle. Their excitement grows. She lies down, utterly spent, and begins to purr, a deep, resonant rumble that vibrates through her whole body. The cubs clamber over her, nursing vigorously. Narrator. This is the moment that makes sense of everything. The solitary vigil, the life-risking sprint, the terrified feast under the eyes of enemies, it was all for this. For them, the chirp is a call reserved solely for her cubs, a beacon of safety in a dangerous world. The cubs' gray mantle of fur on their backs is a final, brilliant evolutionary deception. It makes them look like the vicious honey badger, a small but ferocious creature most predators avoid. Even her cubs are equipped with a disguise. As they nurse, she is transferring not just milk, but the very essence of her hunt, the calories that will fuel their growth. But her work is not done. She cannot bring them to the kill site, it is a magnet for danger. So, she will rest only briefly. Soon, she will rise, and the cubs will instinctively follow. She will lead them on a long, meandering walk back towards the carcass, hoping the hyenas have left something. She will let them eat, under her watchful guard, teaching them the taste of meat, the smell of blood. This is their first, messy lesson. Her motherhood is a cycle of hunt, retrieve, teach, and protect. She must do this successfully almost every day. The mortality rate for cheetah cubs is crushing, up to 90% in some regions. They die from starvation if she fails to hunt. They die from predators if she is away too long. They die from exposure, from disease. Her relentless effort is a battle against these staggering odds. Every day they survive is a victory. Scene 5. The teacher, passing on the legacy. Visual. Weeks have passed. The cubs are older now, lankier, their gray mantle fading into the familiar spotted coat. They are playing, but it's a different kind of play. One cub stalks another through the grass, its miniature body low to the ground in a perfect imitation of its mother. It pounces, and they tumble in a bundle of paws and tails. The mother watches, her eyes soft. Later, she brings down a small, young gazelle, but instead of killing it immediately, she releases it, alive but dazed, in front of her cubs. The cubs are confused at first, then intrigued. They approach tentatively, bat at it with their paws, learning the movements, the reactions of live prey. It is a controlled, brutal lesson. The mother stands back, allowing them to experiment, to fail, to learn. Narrator. Her role is now shifting from pure provider to instructor. Her cub's survival will ultimately depend not on her speed, but on theirs. Not on her eyesight, but on their ability to read the land. She must pass on an entire library of instinct and learned behavior. The play fighting builds muscle coordination and hunting reflexes. The live, practice prey teaches them the mechanics of the chase and the kill without the high stakes of the open savanna. She teaches them how to read the wind so their scent doesn't betray them. She shows them how to identify the weak and the isolated in a herd. She demonstrates the art of the patient stalk. Every interaction is a lesson. She is stern but tolerant. She lets them make mistakes, knowing that a mistake here, in relative safety, could prevent a fatal one later. The bond is profound. They groom each other for hours, the cub's tiny tongues working through her fur, reinforcing the social ties that will hold them together as a sibling group long after she is gone. For these cubs will stay with her, learning, for nearly 18 to 20 months, a long childhood in the animal kingdom, necessary to master the complex art of being a cheetah. Scene 6. The parting, the end of an alliance. Visual. The cubs are now almost as big as their mother, but sleeker, less worn. They are a cohesive unit, moving together with a synchronized grace. One morning, the dynamic is different. The mother is more distant, less tolerant. When a nearly full-grown son tries to nurse playfully, she gently but firmly pushes him away with a soft growl. She stops sharing her kills easily, eating first and letting them wait. There is a new tension. Finally, one day, she simply walks away as they are resting. She doesn't chirp. She doesn't look back. The camera stays on the siblings. They wake, notice her absence, and become agitated. They chirp and call. They try to follow her trail, but she has deliberately crossed rocky ground, obscured her path. After a day of confused searching, they huddle together, a new, independent coalition. The camera finds the mother, far away, sitting on her familiar rocky outcrop. She is alone again. She looks into the distance, and for a moment, her expression is inscrutable. Is it relief? Fatigue? Loss? Then, she lowers her head, and the camera sees the slight swell of her belly. She is pregnant again. The cycle is poised to begin anew. Narrator. The day she leaves them is the final, and perhaps greatest, act of her motherhood. Her job is complete. They are equipped to face the savanna. To stay together would mean competing for the same scarce resources. Her instinct, harsh but necessary, is to break the bond she spent nearly 2 years forging, to force them into their own destiny. It seems cruel, but it is the law of her existence. Her energy must now turn inward, to the new lives growing inside her. The siblings, usually brothers who will form a lifelong coalition, now have only each other. They will hunt together, defend each other, and rely on the lessons their mother etched into their very beings. Her legacy is not in her continued presence, but in their survival. And as she rests, gathering strength for the next impossible journey of gestation, birth, and nurture, the savanna continues. Her story is just one thread in the immense tapestry of life here, a story of breathtaking speed forged in the fire of overwhelming vulnerability, of solitary struggle dedicated entirely to the promise of the next generation. She is the mother of speed. And her race is never truly over. Final scene. Visual. Slow motion shot of the female cheetah running, not in a hunt, but just moving across the plain at a steady, mile-eating lope. The golden light of sunset backlights her, making her glow. She becomes smaller and smaller against the immense landscape until she is just a speck, and then, she is gone into the grass. Fade to black. Music. Returns, full and poignant, then fades out. Text on screen. Female cheetahs raise their cubs alone for up to 20 months, teaching them every skill they need to survive. Their greatest threat is no longer other predators, but the loss of their vast hunting grounds. Conservation of habitat is conservation of their future.